Hey, what's up, guys? You like it when I do rant videos, so here we go. We're going to do a little rant nerd video about 4K Blu-rays. At least you don't have to watch some ridiculous video where some jackass on YouTube puts underwear on his fucking head. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, who would do that on their channel that's a grown man? That's completely ridiculous, but that's the kind of entertainment you have here, the lowbrow entertainment you have on YouTube. But we're not going to put any underwear on anybody's head today to try to make people laugh. What we're going to do is we're just going to have a rant. And maybe the rant could be fun and the rant can be entertaining. And some people are going to get pissed off at the rant. Who fucking cares, right? Because we don't give a shit about that on this channel. And people have wanted me to rant, so I might have 2 rants for you today. Unfortunately, I watched a Review Tech USA video that actually aggravated the piss out of me. So I wrote some notes down, I'm not gonna lie. I have some notes right here. I'm gonna be looking up at these notes. I pretty much kinda have an idea of what I wanna say, but I don't wanna leave anything out, okay? First off, let me just tell you, I do have a 4K television. I have a Samsung JS9000, and I may soon, if I'm lucky, have a JS 9500, hopefully, okay, if everything goes well. And soon, I mean 4 months. So, with that said, let me tell you something that I watched. In my Oppo Blu-ray player that upscales. It's a fake 4K, but it upscales for your 4K television. I watched Interstellar a couple of weeks ago. It looks fantastic on Blu-ray in 1080p with fake 4K, okay? Upscaled. Alright, last night I watched Oblivion, which looks fucking amazing, upscaled in fake 4K. Now, I say fake 4K because these movies are clearly Blu-ray, and Blu-ray's only 1080p at the moment. Now, in March, Blu-rays will be 4K. And, of course, you'll have to have a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player. Okay? And you'll have to have a 4K television. And then there's people who are like, oh, don't feed into the 4K hype. And then they want to argue with you in the fucking comment section about film. Oh, well, the only thing that's been shot digitally is since 2000 and... Shut the hell up. Because here's the deal. With film grain, it's not digital. It's grain. So it captures tons of information, kind of like digital. So they can go back and they can take this film grain, hence Ghostbusters and Sony, which has already been remastered and sold to us on a 1080p 4K remastered Blu-ray. So it's ready to go as soon as 4K hits. Because you have tons of information captured in that grain, okay? So someone like me that just loves movies is excited about 4K. Because if 4K sells well, then what happens is a lot of these older movies will get restored and rescanned in 4K. So, let's say a movie really isn't 4K. If you love movies, you would want to see it get remastered. Just like with video games. You want to see stuff get restored, okay? Me personally. Now, this movie right here, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I had the 1080p disc. I think it was maybe a 2K scan. I can't remember. I don't have it. I gave it away. This is now a 4K scan. Yes, it's still 1080p, but it's been rescanned in 4K. Let me explain something to you. Because it's been rescanned in 4K, you now see more film grain, which is excellent, and you now see more colors. So I'm excited to buy this again as soon as it hits 4K. Now that it's been rescanned, they're ready to go. They'll probably release it come this Halloween, since 4K will be out, or next year. So, with that said, obviously, I like my movies. And I watched this video on Review Tech USA that just irritated me, called, Will 4K Blu-rays really be 4K, featuring so-and-so, whoever the fuck he is, okay? So now, my problem is, we had a 4K couch quarterback on Review Tech USA, and I'm not talking about Rich. I currently don't have a problem with Rich. I know some of my subscribers do, whatever, okay? But what I have a problem with is when you have that many subscribers and then that gives you a voice, a vocal point, which I don't have, right? And then you put someone on, and then for 30 minutes, to me, personally, it sounds like, not necessarily Rich, but he did mess up and say something that aggravated me, but this guy that's talking about 4K seems to just be shitting on 4K. That's how it came off. It came off arrogant and aggravating, and I know some of you already think I'm arrogant and aggravating, and guess what? I'm doing that fucking intentionally. There's a difference. This jackass, on the other hand, is just one of those 4K couch quarterback know-it-alls, and so it came off that way. So go watch the video, come back and watch this video. Here's my problem. He seems to know everything about 4K, right? But he can't tell you the simple fact. He tells you that, well, the disc content and the 4K, the studios, they're not bringing out a whole bunch. They don't know when they're bringing out discs. They're going to bring out discs or whatever they're doing because, well, why would you bring out disc until the players come out and da-da-da. One player's coming out. It's the Samsung, and it comes out most likely in March because I was supposed to get it February 17th, okay? And I say most likely in March because all the discs come out in fucking March. Now, they made this video 2 weeks ago. Now, if you know so much about 4K, why did you not know that the discs were coming out in March? Okay? There's my first issue because you want to talk like you know a whole bunch about 4K, but then you don't even know when the discs are coming out, and you didn't make these other points. The point was, hey, these movies aren't really going to be in 4K, they're going to slap 4K on them, and they're going to sell them to you. Well, here's the deal. Are they going to look better than 1080 fucking p? Yes, of course, we shouldn't get screwed with marketing. If it's really not 4K, then it shouldn't say 4K. Alright? I get that. I understand that was part of the point of the video. But here's my problem, because some things that were said were asinine. My favorite one was about The Martian. I'll get to that in a minute. But this so-called expert on 4K said he thinks most of the movies that are going to come out first on 4K won't have a lot of special effects. Remember, this video was made 2 fucking weeks ago. Why did he not bother to do any research and find out what the first 4K fucking titles were? And let me just give you some of those. Chappie, the robot, who's obviously CGI because they didn't make a fucking robot for the film. Okay, Amazing Spider-Man 2 because they really didn't have a guy fucking climbing up fucking walls and spinning webs out of his asshole. Okay? And then you have The Martian. Then you have Hancock because Will Smith can't really fucking fly, so I'm pretty sure that had something to do with CGI. And then you had Ender's Game, which is in space with fucking spaceships, so I'm pretty sure that's fucking CGI. And then Smurfs, and it's not a fucking cartoon, it's a real life movie with some fucking Smurfs in it, so I'm pretty sure the Smurfs are fucking CGI too. Then meanwhile, you have The Last Witch Hunter, and I'm pretty sure Vin Diesel is not fighting real fucking witches, okay? So I'm pretty sure that has something to do with fucking CGI. And then you have The Life of Pi, which is a kid on a boat with a fucking tiger, and I'm pretty sure they didn't use a real tiger next to the fucking kid out in the open fucking sea, so I'm pretty sure that is fucking CGI. So before you make a video 2 weeks ago on whether 4K Blu-ray is fake or not, whatever, okay? But then you're like, I'm pretty sure the 4K titles that they bring out first aren't going to have a lot of CGI. Now here's the reason he said that. Because the guy then complained about The Martian. The CGI effects in The Martian, okay? Well, those are in 2K. So if they bring out The Martian in 4K, how is it really 4K? Meanwhile, he goes on to tell you that The Martian was shot in 5K, if I'm correct on that. Okay? Even if it wasn't, let's say it's shot in 4K. Just for argument's sake, let's say it's not shot in 5K. But I'm pretty sure he said 5K. So, The Martian is shot in 4K, but let's say it's shot in 5K, then we'll go back to just saying it's shot in 4K, right? So it's shot in 5K, and yet the CGI is only in 2K. Who in the fuck is gonna bitch? The Martian looks fucking fantastic in 1080p. It looks fantastic in 1080p upscaled on a 4K fucking screen. Who in their right mind is gonna get a 4K copy on a disc and then bitch that the CGI is in 2 fucking K? That is a nerd, a 4K nerd couch quarterback, okay? That's what that is. That's like me buying some fucking $100 shoes. And I tell my friend, hey, look at these $100 shoes. And he goes, but they got 86-cent laces in them. What the fuck are you talking about, man? Let's be glad we're getting some 4K disc content finally and some 4K players on the market. And Samsung being the first, Panasonic later in the year, mind you, and they're going to have Dolby Vision on it. And who was the other one? There was one other one. So there's going to be 3. Meanwhile, Oppo has nothing planned. Maybe at the end of the year if we're lucky. But Oppo would be the one to get. Panasonic, definitely be cool. I don't know how much that's going to run. There was one other one I saw. Who was it? I don't even fucking know, because I don't care, because Samsung's coming out first, $400, I'm gonna buy one. Now here's the deal, Samsung does not have Dolby Vision. For those of you that don't know what Dolby Vision is, it's gonna be glorious colors, okay, that are not standard on a 4K Blu-ray, but if the studio wants to pay to use Dolby Vision, like they do with Dolby Sound, or DTS HD Master Audio, or Dolby Atmos, okay, they're gonna have something called Dolby Vision. It's not a mandatory spec. They can use it, they can put it on the disc, but then you have to have a player that actually does Dolby Vision. The Samsung 4K player that comes out, most likely in March, is not going to have that Dolby Vision. Doesn't really fucking matter right now to me, because my TV, the 9000, doesn't have the Dolby Vision, okay? And that's later on down the line. I usually replace TVs every 2 years, because that's the kind of tech nerd I am, okay? So this guy is bitching about The Martian being shot in 5K, only having CGI processed at 2K, okay? And then saying, well, you can't call that movie 4K. Why can't you call the movie 4K? It was fucking shot in 5K. Let's say it was shot in 4K, but the CGI is still 2K. It's still a 4K fucking movie. Jesus Christ, man. Okay? Meanwhile, while they're bitching about 4K and we might be lied to about 4K when 4K first comes out, they didn't bother to talk about 10-bit color panels. So for instance, my television, the JS9000 Samsung and the JS 9500, they have 10-bit color panels, okay? Hell, my plasma had a 10-bit color panel. But most consumers have an 8-bit fucking color panel, okay? So if you have a 10-bit color panel, guess what? If you get a 4K Blu-ray player and you get Blu-rays, you can now max out that 10-bit color panel. Now, if you're lucky enough to be educated on this shit and you have an Oppo upscale 4K Blu-ray player, which is really only 1080p and it fake upscales it, you can go in there and you can turn 10-bit on. And if you get Sony mastered 4K discs, they have the expanded color, which uses that 10-bit piece that you turn on in your Oppo. So now, with the 4K discs coming out, let's say they're not in 4K. Let's say they're only in 2K. Let's say they're only in 3K, but for some reason, the studios lie to us and they say they're 4K, okay? You know what's so great about these discs coming out? They're gonna have 10-bit color. They're gonna have HDR color. Go look up HDR color. This guy bitching about 5K Martian only having 2K fucking CGI graphics, and then the studio telling you it's a 4K fucking movie, didn't bother to tell you that if you have a 10-bit color panel and you have a 4K fucking Blu-ray player, you can have a huge amount of colors with dynamic range and color gamut. That's what you're going to get from 4K. So you're not going to get that from fucking 1080p fucking Blu-rays. So guess what? Let's say it's not 4K. Let's say we go from 1080p upscaled to I get a 2K movie that says it's 4 fucking K, or I get a 3K movie that says it's 4 fucking K. For whatever reason, the studio seems to think that's 4 fucking K. I'm quite fucking okay with that. You know why? Because now I'm gonna have HDR that I'm gonna get to look at on my TV with my nano fucking crystals, mind you. Yeah, and I know some of you are like, what the fuck is a nano crystal? Well, go look it up, okay? Because if you're lucky enough to have nano crystals, then your little 10-bit color panel with your extra high dynamic range and your color gamut is gonna look fucking fantastic with your 4K discs. Another reason to be excited about 4K discs is because you can't stream worth it. You can stream. Some people can stream, but some people can't stream worth a damn because it takes up gobs of fucking bandwidth, okay? And it's also compressed. You have a disc. This 4K content that we're streaming now that looks great, okay, is gonna look fucking spectacular on a fucking disc. And we have jackasses that now buy digital copies of fucking movies, that buy digital copies of fucking games, and this is a benefit of having a fucking disc, okay? I would rather have an Oppo player and a copy of this fucking movie because streaming it or downloading it, it will not look as good as me taking this disc and putting it inside the Oppo and playing it. Better yet, if it was a Sony Mastered 4K with expanded color, it would not look as good as me streaming it or digitally downloading it. So that is why I like to have physical media. So maybe we should celebrate the fact that 4K physical fucking media is coming out. It may not be as fantastic as you want it to be, you nerd coach 4K quarterback, alright? But at least we have it. But then you have jackasses that have an audience, right? That have available people to talk to. Who's gonna watch my fucking video? Nobody. Maybe 1,000 people if I'm fucking lucky, right? And then you have jackasses already shitting on a product before the product ever hits the fucking market. And then you have Rich from Review Check USA, yes, you Rich, who doesn't even have the product, who hasn't even seen the product, who clearly says you don't know nothing about 4K, that's why you have this guy on your channel. And then you say 4K movies are a mess. What the fuck do you know about 4K? You just got done saying you don't know shit about 4K. That's why you have this guy on your fucking channel. But then you have the audacity to say 4K movies are a fucking mess. They're not even on the goddamn market yet. And if you would have done any research, you could have corrected the motherfucker while he's sitting there running his mouth for 35 goddamn minutes. So, yeah, it irritates me when people, and obviously Rich is a gamer, and obviously this guy is a gamer, and once again, this just reminds me of gamers in the community bitching about things before things actually come to the fucking market, aka The Witcher, okay? You have everybody bitching about something before they physically fucking see it. Then you have this ass clown saying the same tired fucking shit, which is, you can't see 4K from 10 feet away. If you have a 78-inch screen, you might be able to see it. If you have a 65-inch screen, you might be able to. Here's the difference. You might not be able to see that minute detail, but all of a sudden you have wider dynamic range, color range. You're sitting from it. You can see it. My girlfriend wears glasses. I wear glasses. I don't have a great, fantastic fucking eye. I got one good eye, all right? And yet immediately, I'm 8 feet away from my 4K TV that's 65 inches. I should be 6.5. Did I say 8 feet? I'm 8 feet away from it. I should be 6.5 feet away from it. Okay, but I'm not because it just seems too fucking close and claustrophobic. So I'm 8 feet away. So I'm already the wrong distance away from the fucking TV. But guess what? I can tell immediately the TV is more fantastic. My girlfriend can tell immediately, and that's just streaming 4K content off of YouTube. So imagine what these discs are gonna look like that, oh my god, are shot in 5 fucking K. And then the CGI is only in 2 fucking K, and then they try to tell me that the disc is 4K. They're lying to me. You sound like a fucking jackass. Why don't you experience the product before you shit on it, okay? And that's why I made this video, because I'm tired of people shitting on things before they actually try things, okay? So, guys, if you see a video like this and you don't know who this guy is or who the fuck he thinks he is, okay, just like me, you don't know who the hell I am, don't take my word for it. Go to Best Buy, stand 10 feet away from the largest fucking 4K TV they have, okay? Then go take the same size TV that's 1080p and stand away from it and tell me you can't see a fucking difference. Unless you're just blind, deaf or dumb, okay? You're gonna see a fucking difference. I don't care what it says on fucking paper. I had friends come over that immediately sat down. My screen is not the correct viewing distance for 4K because you're supposed to sit closer. And the guy's like, I can see the little green moss on the fucking tree, the whatever the hell you call it, algae, whatever the hell is growing on the fucking tree. That's right. He could fucking see it. And I go, isn't that amazing? Because you're not even sitting the proper feet from the fucking TV. He's like, this is gorgeous. This is gorgeous, okay? So before we shit on things, how about we find out about them just a little bit, okay? So here's the other thing. The Hobbit at the theater ran at 48 frames per fucking second. I wanted to see it in 3D, in 4K at 48 frames per second at home. So I couldn't wait. But guess what? 4K, they said fuck 3D, right? So here's the great thing. This is the other thing he didn't bother to fucking tell you. Now, the Hobbit that you're watching in 24 frames per second on a 1080p Blu-ray, now, once it hits 4K, you can at least watch it at 48 frames per second because the 4K Blu-rays can do 60 frames per second. Of course, they'll never probably bring anything out unless James Cameron shoots the Avatar at 60 frames per second, but he's not. He already said he was going to shoot the next Avatar in 48 frames per second, I believe is what he said. So I could be wrong on that. Who knows? Once again, don't trust me. Look this shit up. Don't listen to some jackass on YouTube try to tell you how crappy 4K is gonna be, mind you, because some processed CGI. Then he goes on to say, well, I think old movies will benefit better because all the old special effects are done in the camera work. Okay, so you're okay with somebody taking a paper cup and some plastic pieces and making it look like a Millennium Falcon in camera, okay? And 4K'ing that up by a remaster, but God forbid you take a 5K movie, put it in 4K, and then you only have 2K fucking CGI. Doesn't that just sound fucking as obnoxious as I am in this fucking video? Because it sounds really fucking obnoxious to me when somebody hasn't even seen a 4K fucking Blu-ray running their crappy little 2K CGI effects, mind you, and is already fucking complaining about it. That's fucking ridiculous. And then for Rich to then turn around and go, oh, 4K movies they're a mess. How do you know that, Rich? You haven't even fucking watched one. I bet you haven't even streamed a 4K fucking movie yet. So why would you even fucking say that? Okay? Because what it does is it ruins your credibility of even sounding like you know a fucking thing or two. So, yeah. So I touched on the Dolby Vision. Yeah, touched on the Dolby Vision. I touched on the more, steps of gradation that you're going to see with 4K. Streaming, it's okay, but can you imagine what a 100 gigabyte disc is going to look like? Okay? Even if my 4K movie is really only 2K. Touched on The Hobbit. Yeah, I think I pretty much hit every fucking point I wanted to. So here's the deal. I have a challenge for everyone. For anybody that has See, and here's the thing. The guy that's bitching about the 4K, I don't think he has a giant, huge, fucking nice television, or he wouldn't bitch about 4K. Because I think anybody who has a really expensive $6,000 Samsung JS 9500 or a $5,000, which cost me $3,000 now at this point, the 9000, right, or any top tier Sony with the nano crystals. I think anybody who has a top tier 4K is really looking forward to this, is really excited about this, and you're just like, why are you shitting on this product? We're gonna have discs. These discs are gonna be amazing, even if they're in fucking let's say they're only in 2K. Let's say they slap 2K on them instead of 4K. Am I gonna bitch about that? I'm not gonna bitch about that. Why would I bitch about that? Oh, look, I got a movie in 2K now and a movie in 1080p. Which one do I want to fucking watch? Oh, I have a movie in 3K and a movie in 1080p. Which one do I want to fucking watch? Oh, this movie was shot in 5K? And then they're talking about like, well, are they gonna take the special effects and put them back in 4K? And are they gonna put that on the back of the box and have fucking asterisks? No, because they're not gonna fucking confuse everybody. But if it looks amazing, who cares? Who cares? Who gives a shit? And then they said, oh, this is gonna confuse people. That's my other point. They were like, oh, this is gonna confuse people because you got 4K upscalers on the market. Yeah, and those are like $100 fucking dollars or $130 fucking dollars. The 4K Ultra HD players are going to say Ultra HD, okay? They're also going to make a big, huge fucking sign on it to let everybody knows it's new. And then there's going to be a $400 fucking price point. So even if the person that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing walks into Best Buy, they're going to see a fucking sign that says $400, and then they're going to ask questions because most people wouldn't buy a 4K $400 Blu-ray player over $100 ones. That's when you have to be intelligent enough to ask a fucking question as a fucking consumer and go, why does this sign say $400? And then the fucking Best Buy nerd goes, because that plays 4K Blu-rays. And then the dumbass consumer goes, well, this one right here is only $100. Why would I buy that one? Because it doesn't do Ultra HD 4K. Well, it says it upscales to 4K. Yes, upscale, sir. That means it takes your 1080p and it fakes it out. And then the salesperson gets in this conversation with the customer, like rightfully fucking so, right? And then Best Buy, when 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray players come out, which will be called Ultra HD, so we know what the fuck is going on, and the Ultra HDs will be in black fucking cases, okay, and come with a 4K copy and come with a 1080 fucking P copy, and will clearly have fucking instructions or directions or whatever the fuck on the back of the box to let you know what the fuck you're purchasing. And when they're $35 fucking dollars, and you're like, why is this $35? But over here, this Blu-ray in the blue case, same fucking movie, is $20. Yeah, that's when you ask questions. It's fucking consumers, okay? But when you go into Best Buy, here's what's going to happen. When March gets here and these movies start coming out and the one player on the market, which will be the Samsung, which you should have fucking known, okay, that is going to be on a display next to the fucking 4K Samsung televisions. And all the fucking Best Buy associates in the TV area are gonna be showing it off and showing it to you and trying to fucking push it. And that's how you're gonna know what the fuck's going on. Now, jackasses that buy some Vizio 4K piece of shit that doesn't even have the 2.2 HDMIs on it for the new fucking Ultra HD Blu-rays, okay, those jackasses, like this guy talked about his mom and dad getting a 4K TV, and most people, oh, they'll just stay at 1080p, Rich said, oh, they'll stay at 1080p. Yes, because those people don't know what the fuck they're buying in the first place. So it's people like me, people like my friend Larry, people like my friend Jay that are the early adopters that buy this shit and make it cheaper for the rest of you motherfuckers, and also make it cheaper for the dumbasses on YouTube already bitching about something that's not even fucking out yet, okay? So So you can thank me right fucking now in the comment section down below, because us early adopters are gonna eventually get you real 4K disc fucking product for you to fucking enjoy on 10-bit color panels with 64 times better fucking color. Okay, but we don't explain that. We just bitch about some movie being shot on 4K, but the digital CGI is only in 2K, so how can we call it 4K? You know how fucking ridiculous you sound? Just experience it, brother, and then get on YouTube and tell everybody how fantastic or how shitty it is after you fucking physically fucking watch the product, not beforehand. And then, Rich, when you have somebody on, before you have somebody on and go, well, I don't really know about it, but I got this guy on because he fucking knows about it. I don't know. Do a little goddamn research into this shit, so while he's running his fucking mouth, you can go, well, wait a minute, all the movies that are come out March 1st. Why don't you know this if you're such the 4K fucking expert? The player, only one that's coming out is in fucking March. It's Samsung. Why don't you fucking know this? There's Dolby Vision. Why haven't we talked about Dolby Vision? There's 64 times better color. There's huge color gamut, gradation, high dynamic range, HDR. Why haven't we talked about any of the fucking positives that this brings to the fucking market? Oh, and the fact that you actually, down the line, get to copy your 4K disc, unlike fucking Blu-ray. You actually get a real copy that you can do later on down the line. But no, let's not talk about that. Let's just bitch about 4K, maybe not really being 4K, for like 35 fucking minutes is how long that video was. So I figured I'd make mine 35 minutes long if I could actually bitch that fucking long, right? Yep, Oh, so, Lord of the Rings was shot in such and such K, but the CGI was only done in, like, 2K. Oh, my God. Because, see, that's how that video sounded to me. It was like, really? Really? Oh, those are nice $100 shoes, but you have 86-cent fucking laces. Are you kidding me? So, yeah. So there you go. Will 4K Blu-rays really be 4K? So I give everybody a challenge. If you know somebody that has an Oppo, upscaling, Oppo, this is great advertising for Oppo. Get an Oppo Blu-ray player from a friend, take it to Best Buy, get them to let you hook it up, take it to an electronics store, get them to let you hook it up, take a Blu-ray, put it in there, upscale it in 4K on a 10-bit color panel. And look at how amazing it is on a nano crystal panel. And then go, should I be excited about 4K? Stream some 4K content off of Amazon, off of Netflix. See, and that's the other thing. I left out one thing. Then they started talking about, oh, cable. Cable hasn't adopted to 4K. Oh, no, I didn't leave that out. Yeah. You know why? Because of the loads of fucking information. So let's get some discs out, okay? And then after we experience, then let's bitch about it.
Many times I get requests asking, would you explain Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 26? Let me read the verse to you. It says, for if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversary. So it seems like if you sin willfully after you've been saved, well then there's no more sacrifice for sins and you're condemned and nothing to look forward to but a fiery indignation, and therefore you can lose your salvation and go to hell. But is that really what the Bible says? I believe in its context you'll find there's some very interesting things. See, what he's telling you is this. Once you trust Christ as your Savior, he gives you eternal life. That means it lasts forever. And that he'll never cast you out, never lose you. But Doesn't that mean that a Christian can deliberately sin willfully after he is saved? Well, yes, most Christians do, including you. And so we know we should do right, but we still do wrong. But understand this, when he says there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins, and here's the reason why. When Christ came into the world, he had no sin. He did no wrong. But he went to the cross and took all the sins of the world, mine, yours, and everybody's. And so he paid for all the sins of the world. He became the sacrifice for everybody's sins. And then the Bible says he rose from the dead, ascended back into heaven. And one day he's coming again. So there's only been one sacrifice for sin. There will never be another. So you see, if we sin willfully after we have been saved, there is no more sacrifice for sins. But the Bible does teach that because you are a child of God, you have a choice. You can be an obedient child or a disobedient child. If you are an obedient child of God, God said he would bless your life here and reward you when you get to heaven. But if you're disobedient here, that means you rebel against your Heavenly Father, then God doesn't say he's going to send you to hell. He says he's going to chasten you. So that's why in chapter 11 we have the Hall of Faith chapter, where it teaches a child of God how and why he should live by faith. As a child of God, why he should obey the Lord. So in chapter 12 he tells us, well, what about if you don't? What if you don't lay aside every sin that does so easily beset you, and you don't run this race that God has for us? So he makes a statement in Hebrews chapter 5, and this is what he says. In Hebrews chapter 5, he says in verse 5, my son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord. You see, if you sin willfully against the Lord, and you're no longer his child, why would God chasten you if you're not his child? He says he chastens his children. So he makes a statement here, my son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. So when you read the verse over there in Hebrews in chapter 10 and verse 26, if we, as a child of God, sin willfully in total rebellion against the Lord, you're not going to hell, but you are going to have a very angry Father who is going to chasten you and discipline you and maybe take you home before your time. So you see there in these verses in Hebrews in chapter 10, it makes a statement. He says in the last part of verse 30, I will recompense, saith the Lord. And again, the Lord shall judge his people. The Lord shall judge his people. And then he makes this statement. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. You are in the hands of a living God. He is alive, and he sees and knows everything. So it is the will of God for you and I to study the Word of God so that we can serve the Lord the way we should. And then he makes a statement in chapter 10, verse 35. He says, cast not away, therefore, your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward. So God is going to reward his children if they will faithfully serve him. And it's going to cost you if you don't. So there's no more sacrifice for sin, but only chastisement for God's children. Thank you, and God bless.